This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Well, hey, friends. Welcome back to another show, Coffee with Kenobi Live, CWK Live, every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Zare. Thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Blake has been fighting COVID. Blake, I'm so sorry, man. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you're feeling well and symptom-free for sure. Gosh, that's awful. I'm really sorry to hear that. Hopefully we can cheer you up. Minta is here. This is the way it's CWK Day. Hello, Minta. Mary, of course, is here. Happy Monday. And Ross is indeed back in the saddle. Hello, friends and CWK family. It's great to see all of you. Whoops. Oh, okay. I think I just did something. All right. We'll see what happens later. So it's great to see all of you on Coffee with Kenobi Live. It's a great week to be a Star Wars fan and a Coffee with Kenobi family member because we've got some cool stuff going on that I'm thrilled to share with all of you. I know you've seen me talking about a lot, so let's go ahead and jump to what's brewing in the world of Star Wars this week. Now let's formally bring in everybody. Hello, Minta. Great to see you. Mary, Ross, Blake, and Josh are here, and other people are trickling in as we speak. So the exciting news that I was thrilled to share, we've been talking about this for a year and a half, honestly. And it's the Coffee with Kenobi Galactic Starcruiser trip that we're taking, all of us, whoever can join us, with MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Becky Mencken joined us last week on Coffee with Kenobi. Hopefully you heard all about the experience getting that Kyber crystal drink and aboard the Disney Wish. That was a great story. I can't imagine I would ever get that drink. But just hearing Becky's story was good and kind of made me feel a part of it, which is a big part of this community and this atmosphere and this family that we have at Coffee with Kenobi. And I've been wanting for a long time. Oh, Ben is here too. Hello, Ben. What's up, man? Good to see you. I've been wanting for a really long time to travel with all of you in a non-celebration capacity. I wanted to do something that was a Coffee with Kenobi event. Now, I've been talking about the Galactic Starcruiser from the moment I got to experience it and how I want us all to do it together. So I mentioned last week we would have the dates and to watch the CWK Cafe and social media. And sure enough, a couple days later, we made it official. Coffee with Kenobi and MEI and Mouse Fan Travel are teaming up. So you can join us on the Galactic Starcruiser June 12th to the 14th next summer 2023. At the time of this recording of the live show on Monday night, September 5th, we have, I believe, 5 rooms with our trip that have been spoken for and reserved. So that is huge. That is huge. So I'm hoping, because there are limited rooms available, the way that it works is, it's first come, first serve. And I couldn't tell you, it couldn't even begin to tell you how many rooms are left. I just know that there are limited rooms available. So Minta says, I'll see if I can get my husband to come on board. I hope so. I would love to meet him. I would love to meet you, Minta. I would love to spend time with members of the CWK family. I know Mary is very excited about it. I've talked to many of you about it, both individually and just in different groups. And I know a lot of you are really wanting to do it. And I know it's a lot. That's why we've been talking about it for a year and a half, so people can start saving for it. It's an amazing experience. The way that it works, the way that you can become a part of it if you want to be with our group, there are a couple of things that are really essential to making this happen if you want to come with us. So basically, you go to coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. That's coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. And it will take you to our affiliate link, and you sign up and you say, I want to go on the Galactic Starcruiser June 12th to the 14th with Dan Zare and Coffee with Kenobi. Then they will add you to our group. And being a part of our group is going to allow for some really unique, cool things that you can only experience if you book with Mouse Fan Travel and sign up with Coffee with Kenobi. So I hope that if you do join us, that is the route that you will take. So you can be part of the group. It's going to be amazing. When you're on the Starcruiser, the cost includes food, It includes non-alcoholic drinks. It includes your, 2-night, 3-day stay, all your meals. It includes a 1-day trip to Hollywood Studios, Disney's Hollywood Studios and Galaxy's Edge, Lightning Lane passes for Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run Millennium Falcon. Assuming both attractions are up and running, and hopefully they should be. I would say most of the time they are. That means you're guaranteed to go on those things. You get first dibs at Savvy's workshop to build a lightsaber, and first dibs to go into Oga's Cantina. You have to pay separately for those two things, but that's completely up to you. It's optional. It's completely optional. Same with the Droid Depot if you want to go and build your own droid. So there's just a lot of cool things that are a part of the experience. Andrew says, "Hey gang, can't stay long but 280 more days." Andrew, great to see you, buddy. Let's give Andrew a round of applause. He played Mr. Banks in a recent local production of Mary Poppins. Absolutely outstanding. The guy is as gifted of a thespian as he is a Star Wars collector and a fan. So we're really proud of you, Andrew. Keep up the good work, buddy. Andrew, I know, is very interested in the Galactic Starcruiser as well. The stuff you're going to get to do there is play Sabacc in the Hyperspace Lounge. Corey Clubb and Tom Gross are going to be joining me. And so is my son, Mason Sayre. In fact, on June 12th, that's Mason's 10th birthday. So you're going to get to celebrate Mason's birthday with him, that's really, really fun too. Mary is clapping for you, Andrew. So cool. So yeah, much, much more to come. If you have any questions, please let me know. Send me a message or reach out to Becky Mankin and her team at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Again, please make sure that if you do it, that you go to coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel and say that you want to go on the Halcyon June 12th to the 14th. And again, remember, limited rooms are available. It's a tricky line, isn't it? Because I know you don't want to miss out. But it's hard. It's hard, but it's also very, very exciting. So I hope you're able to join us and reserve a room before they are sold out. And I will let you know if it's getting close to that or not. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into our top 5. Mary says, "Oh my gosh, perfect for Mason. This is where the fun begins." So much so. So yes, this is where the fun begins. Let's talk about your top 5 moments from the 3rd episode of Light and Magic. Just think about it. So this episode is really a lot about once Star Wars has come out and they're able to experience the fruit of their labors. And for audiences who experience Star Wars for the first time, it changed movies and pop culture. We know this because we're on a Star Wars Live podcast right now. But it was great to hear it from the pros who made it happen. Jason says, "Hi, friends. Can't stick around tonight. I wanted to stop and say hi. Have a great show. I should be back next week." Jason, hey, thanks for joining us. Even when you stop by just for a little bit, it means the world to me. So thank you so much, Jason. Hope all is well with you and your family. Please tell Henrik I said hello as well. So for this week, not only is it talking about the beginning, what happens when Star Wars hits the world, but also very much about getting the Empire Strikes Back ready and getting that thing off the ground too. So let's go ahead with number 5. I actually didn't make screens for mine tonight for whatever reason. I don't know why. I can't believe I didn't do that, but I've got my list ready for sure. Number 5 for me is just the wonder of stop motion and the painstaking efforts it takes to get the tauntauns and the AT-ATs in place that Phil Tippett and his team do, that they create. And I feel like it would be so stressful and mind-numbing, but they love it. And Phil Tippett talks at great length about how it's quite therapeutic, and he loves it. So, and I think that shows in the results. Obviously, I'd say the AT-ATs and Tauntauns are such a iconic, important part of the original trilogy, and a big thing that a lot of fans love, especially if you're of a certain age. And hearing that Phil liked that process is just very rewarding to me. So that's my number 5. Mary's number 5 is Ed Catmull talking about all the digital innovations. Now George wanted everything to go as digital as possible. It was very cool. Each of these individuals you could just listen to endlessly. 5 for Minta is the creation of the Tauntaun, both intriguing and horrifying when they mentioned maggots were used. Wasn't that, I guess gross and fascinating? Minta, would you say that'd be fair to say that? Yeah, I think so. Ross's number 5 is poor John Dykstra. I'll celebrate him here, even if he didn't get the call to join ILM up north. Brave of him to share I was probably just too young and volatile as the reason. Yeah, that whole thing, Ross, is really interesting, and it's tragic, and I'm going to save it because I've got some things to say about it later. Ben's number 5 is Potato Asteroids. I love how much fun they were having making these movies to the point where they see what they can get away with. Potatoes and shoes and all kinds of. We've heard forever about that. And I think, wasn't it in the original Star Tours, some of the asteroids or meteors that were flying around the original Star Tours were chocolate chip cookies? Am I imagining that, or is that? I don't know. But it's just kind of fun, the kind of things that they slip in there. I agree with that. Well, let's jump into number 4. Number 4 for me is just the transition into The Empire Strikes Back, and just sort of like hey, we're going to make a sequel to Star Wars. Obviously, everybody knew what that meant by this point because the first one was very much a job, but now it's like, wow, this is a cultural experience. It's time to sort of raise our games even more, which is saying something considering what Star Wars was and is to this day. So George is sort of hand-picking people to join him up north, as Ross just mentioned, to start working on The Empire Strikes Back. And I really much picture that as like being called up to the majors, even though to me the original film was the major leagues. But just kind of the way they presented, I thought was really interesting. Minta's number 4. Ed Catmull in a digital age. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have the great films we have today. That's right. And I think that is something that's really important for us to remember. Another reason why I love Light and Magic so much is it really brings to light all the power and the importance and the innovative nature that is ILM. Ross number 4, George pushing and financing digital like the trailblazer he is. People still, unless you're actively, immersed in Star Wars like we are, I don't think people realize how important he is. He's very much, George Lucas is, dare I say, as important to the film industry as Walt Disney. I mean, in entertainment and creating experiences for families to experience the world together. I mean, I hope that doesn't sound hyperbolic. I really believe very much in George and who he is and what he brought, and I know that you all feel the same way. Ben says, more matte paintings. I remember you loving the matte paintings from from last week, Ben. He says, I love seeing that process in Star Wars and can't believe they went from making a dozen of them in A New Hope to over 50 in the Empire. The artwork of Bestman was always amazing to me, and I just love seeing it come together. You know what? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to talk about matte paintings actually in a little bit. Ross says, spot on. Well, thank you, good sir. Thank you very much. Gosh, wouldn't it be amazing to interview George Lucas? I know exactly. That might be a fun top 5 is, what would you ask George Lucas? That would be the challenge to interviewing someone like George Lucas. By the way, I don't have that planned. I wish I did. I probably wouldn't be able to stop smiling if that were the case. But I think the challenge to interviewing George, or anyone that's been interviewed, millions of times or thousands of times or whatever, lots of times, is to come up with questions that he's never heard before. That's the ultimate challenge. Mary's number 4, opening intro with everyone talking about how Star Wars influenced them. Yeah, that's actually my number 3, Mary. My number 3 is seeing all these iconic directors and, J.J. Abrams and Jim Cameron, and the list goes on and on and on, and what Star Wars did to them, and how many people just remember their first time seeing it on the big screen, and what it meant to them, and how many people were moved and driven to the film industry because of Star Wars. And it's like seeing people that you know and respect and admire, and you find this kinship with them because they have the same excitement for this franchise and this world that we do, and these films themselves. And it's really neat. It's really cool to have that commonality, I think. Blake says, we need George on a CWK Live on a Monday night. Blake, that is fine with me. I'm going to be at the D23 Expo next week, or later this week, so we'll find. I'll look around. Ben says, I love that idea. We should say we think how he'd respond. That'd be fun, Ben. I like that. Let's table that. Josh says there need to be questions about Cars, Modesto, and film history. Absolutely, for sure. Ross says, I keep it cool and asking about Huey Lewis and the news and the San Francisco Giants. Oh, there you go. There you go. Keeping it cool is a good idea. Mary's number 3 is drawings and matte paintings by Joe Johnston, Ralph McQuarrie, and Harrison Ellenshaw. Harrison is really an interesting guy, isn't he? I like him a lot. I feel like he's sort of a fun surprise in this thing. Minta is George Lucas pushing the boundaries for The Empire Strikes Back. He was doing everything he could to make it better than the first. Yes, forever I said Empire was my favorite movie. I think a lot of people my age probably would have said the same thing. I kind of go back and forth. Ross is number 3, the storyboards and concept art by Joe Johnson and Ralph McQuarrie, and how much everyone revered them, which is really fantastic and really quite, again, it's inspiring. And let's all echo again. Let's put it out there into the universe. The art by Joe Johnson, Ralph McQuarrie, we'd love to have these like on our wall, right? Make really nice prints, affordable prints that we can put on our walls or decorate our classrooms or our offices or our homes with, because they're amazing. They're amazing. And it's like looking at a beautiful fish tank, right? You just can't keep your eyes off it, and it's just mesmerizing. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2 for me is, I don't want to say the word tragedy because no one lost their life. But what happened with Dykstra and him only staying with Star Wars and not moving on to the next ones, it's a hard one, isn't it? And I appreciate him coming on this documentary. He's very generous with his time, very honest, very mature, like Ross mentioned earlier about him just owning it, that he's probably just young. And it's hard not to wonder what Empire and Jedi would have been like with John Dykstra. Obviously, they're great, legendary films anyway, so it's hard to imagine being any better. And I don't know that they would, per se. I don't think that's fair to say. But what is fair to say is that John Dykstra's impact on the original Star Wars is monumental. And I think it's just a bummer that it worked out the way it did. I think all of us feel that way. And, hey, I think it's fair to also say thank you, John Dykstra, for what you did. And again, we appreciate that you just were honest and you shared your time with us. Not only in the movie, but just in Light and Magic itself. I think it's cool that Kazan has the report he has to them and the producers of Light and Magic, that Dykstra came on and everyone talked about him. I thought that was great. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see. The storyboards, we got that. Josh, hearing stories on the experience of seeing Empire 1980 would be interesting. Very much so. Ben says 3, Joe Johnson's inspiration for the AT-AT. I spaced them out to make sure you pronounce every letter. A-T-A-T-O-I-C. It's AT-AT. It's either one, actually. A tank and a 4-legged truck, so how great they started with What If to create such cool things. Whenever you can start with What If in a creative way, I think is cool. Super cool. Number 2 for Minta, the matte paintings and drawings by Johnson McQuarrie still astound me to this day. We need more of those. Very much. Very much so. Ross, number 2 is Phil Tippett's extremely personal stories and willingness to share his mental health. I believe he managed it through his craft. Yeah, that was honest. I feel like he really kind of stole the show there, and it was just a moment. I feel like there was a really kind of a Phil Tippett renaissance online, out of admiration and respect for the man. At Celebration, I saw him like from about 10 feet away, but he was out in breakfast and I didn't want to bug him, but I just thought, wow, I'm in the company of greatness. It was cool. So cool. Mary says, the development of the AT-AT, super great. Love the AT-AT so much. In fact, I'm staring at my old AT-AT. It's right up there. Ben says, Dennis not liking McQuarrie's clouds and tricking him so that Dennis could do them right. I mean, look, this is a perfect time. So let's just transition to number 1. I'll click this right here. My number 1 favorite moment from this episode of Light and Magic is Alan Shaw thinking, I don't like how Ralph's doing clouds. He's a genius. I don't want to upset the man or make him mad. So he does this great thing. It's almost like he's like a teacher or a parent. He's like, you know what? You're busy. How about I do the clouds and you focus on that? And so Ralph does it, and Alan Shaw does his clouds, and boom, you've got Cloud City, right? You got Bespin. Probably when you think about Bespin, it's because of Alan Shaw's work. It's just really fun. So I liked that challenge of him talking to him and saying, you know what? Trying to find a way to talk about it without upsetting him, which it does. It seems like every time you see Ralph McQuarrie interviews, may God rest his soul, that he seems like a very laid back guy. But when you're a creative person, I don't know. I know different people react differently to different things. So I just like the idea of these brilliant creatives and having these sort of work conversations that might be uncomfortable, but pulling them off really intelligently. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but I think I know what I'm saying. One, for me to have seen the various directors from Cameron to J.J. Abrams say that Star Wars influenced them to go into the film industry is remarkable. I think that's true for many new directors. I do too. Ben says, that was my honorable mention, Ross. I like how Phil was vulnerable and helped break down stereotypes. It was really bold. Number one for Ross is experience in the stories about Hoth and how it was all brought to life from concept to screen. The Tauntaun arc alone, I like how you said arc, was magical, but it's part of something bigger in my favorite Star Wars sequence of all time. Yes, you know what? It's one of my favorites too. Mary says Phil Tippett and his journey, echoing what we all said. And for sure. And Blake says, number one, I can contribute. Number one is George, just think about it line. Yes. Shows he trusted his talent to make the impossible possible. It's something he did his entire career. Yeah, and it just sort of, a great leader inspires others in ways that make them feel empowered, not belittled. You know, you can have a boss or you can have a leader. And what I've seen and what I've heard, what I believe is that George was a leader, not a boss. And I think that shows here. Ben's number one is George's management style on display and how he used, well, just think about it, to encourage people. Instead of yelling at people to figure it out, he encouraged them and gave them inspiration and hope. He's not perfect, but he should teach a people management class. Exactly, Ben. Very well said. Very, very well said, and better than I just said a few moments ago. Versus Blake, that was my honorable mention. So cool. You know, I really do honorable mentions, but they just they sort of pop into your brain. You know what I mean? They percolate. Is that a good term for a Coffee with Kenobi episode? I think so. By the way, this is the 60th episode of Coffee with Kenobi. How about that? Pretty cool. Really cool. All right. Well, I believe I've got everybody's. If you have any more, please let us know in the comments. But next week, of course, we're going to talk about I Think I Found My People. The 4th episode of Light and Magic. Next week we'll be halfway there. Next week also is going to be very much a recap of D23, by the way. But speaking of that, I don't know. Speaking about that, I'm going to pop this up a little bit later. But I do want you to know that next week, we're not going to do the show on Monday. I will be traveling over the weekend. Sunday night, I'm not landing back home until like midnight or later. And then I'm racing home and getting a few hours of sleep and then waking up and teaching all day, which is great. This is a great blessing to be in this situation. You know, pressure is a privilege, as Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie would say, as we heard on Light the Fuse. By the way, well, we will talk about that, I suppose, later. But this is a long way of me saying, hey, next week, the show's going to be on Tuesday instead of Monday because I will be pretty wiped out from a long weekend of D23 and a D23 Expo. So next week's show will be on Tuesday at the same time, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, instead of Monday. I'll be advertising that, of course. Ross says, let's just officially name honorable mentions as percolations. Works for me. So again, don't forget that next week will not be on Monday. It'll be on Tuesday. So I can sort of rest up and get ready for Tuesday night. But now it's time. Now it is time to jump into Star Wars trivia. Star Wars trivia. Super fun. It's been about a month. So it's time to do some Star Wars trivia. I've got some great questions for you that I think you're going to enjoy. Josh says, you party and we'll have fun at D23. I will, man. I can't wait. Going to be some good folks there. I wish I could bring all of you along with me, but I will try to do that on social media, of course. Okay. It's time for some questions. It's time for some Star Wars trivia. You know the rules here on Star Wars trivia. Just do your best. Forget the rest. Don't Google anything. Don't look anything up in the Star Wars book. Hashtag shameless plug. Let's see. Mary says my internet connection is, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's not doing well. Well, hopefully, Mary, it's doing well, so you can answer some questions. Ben says I haven't done trivia in ages, so excited. All right, Ben, well, good. Let's start off with the first question. So just jump in there and answer. We'll see how you do. Let's see. This is an easy one. Who does Luke Skywalker mention he has no memory of? Who does Luke Skywalker mention he has no memory of? Everybody kind of has their own areas of Star Wars that they feel stronger than others. Josh says his mother. Ross says his mother. Lori is here. Hello, Lori. Lori says his mom. Yes, okay. Any other guesses? Mary's internet connection is rough, but I'm sure Mary's thinking the same thing. Blake says his mother. Minta says his mother. Okay, I think we'll just say it. Yes, it was his mother. He has no memory of his mother. All right, next question. What hoop-wheeled robot missile launcher is employed against the clone army on Geonosis? Wow. What hoop-wheeled robot missile launcher is employed against the clone army on Geonosis? Ben, you were right. Mama is the correct answer. I'll ask it again. What hoop, H-O-O-P, as in hula. What hoop-wheeled robot missile launcher is employed against the clone army on Geonosis? Any guesses on that? No guesses yet, so I know it's not because you're Googling, because you are all honest people in the light side of the Force, and you're thinking, well, Dan, what is the answer? Blake says, is it the spinning rocket shooter of death? Well, that might be what some call it. Ross says, nope. Ross is not sure. I'll read it again. What hoop-wheeled robot missile launcher is employed against the clone army on Geonosis? Ben says, I don't know it had a name, but I know it looks super cool. I agree with that. Josh says, I don't remember. And Minta says, is it Dooku? Well, the answer is, Mary says she agrees with Blake. The question again is, what hoop-wheeled robot missile launcher is employed against the clone army on Geonosis? The answer is a Hailfire droid. Now, I only know this because of Star Wars video games and some book stuff, but yeah, it's not one that rolls off the tongue, is it? Hailfire droid. Hailfire droid. Okay, that's good. So everybody got one right, and everyone struggled with the next one, and I understand that. It didn't jump right to the tip of my tongue either. This is probably someone's initials from behind the scenes with their favorite number. Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting one. Who was the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder, preparing to escape Geonosis? Who is the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder, preparing to escape Geonosis? Good question. I'm kind of previewing some other questions while you're thinking about this one. But again, who's the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder, preparing to escape Geonosis? Ben says it is Padme. Okay. Ross says it is Padme. Okay, there's two guesses. Ben and Ross both think the answer is Padme, who is the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder, preparing to escape Geonosis. Minta says Padme. Blake says Padme. Any other guesses? I'll give you another second before I share the answer with you. The question again is, who is the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder, preparing to escape Geonosis? The answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is not Padme. The answer is Obi-Wan Kenobi is the first to spot Count Dooku on his speeder. So I thought there would be a lot of guesses for Obi-Wan and Anakin. I forgot about Padme being there, so that was a tricky one. Ben says, oh wait, the speeder or a spacecraft? Well, the question says speeder. So, gosh, it's been a while since I've seen Attack of the Clones. I know the prequels very well, but I don't have the photographic memory for them that I do for the original trilogy. And I think, again, we're all kind of like that. We all sort of have our Star Wars wheelhouse. Well, we know it all really well. Some we just like know beat by beat, and some we kind of have to think about. So I don't know. That's a tricky one. He says, dang it, don't worry. Meantime, I have faith in you. You'll get the next one, which is, which Jedi crosses lightsabers separately with both Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious? Ooh, that's a great one. Again, the question is, which Jedi crosses lightsabers separately with both Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious? I'll let you think that one over. Blake says Yoda is the answer. to what Jedi crosses lightsabers separately, both with Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious? Ross also says Yoda. Minta says Yoda. Any other guesses for what Jedi crosses lightsabers separately with both Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious? Ben says Yoda for last episode of season 6 of Clone Wars. Ooh, look at that. Ben pulling out a reference from Clone Wars, which is really cool. Just looking at the next one I'm going to ask you. So again, I'll give the answer. What Jedi crosses lightsabers separately with both Darth Tyrannus and Darth Sidious? The answer is, in fact, the Grand Master himself, Yoda. Yoda is the answer. Very good. Okay, we'll just do a couple of more. Next question. Who crashes a speeder onto the streets of Coruscant not far from the Outlander Club? Who crashes a speeder onto the streets of Coruscant not far from the Outlander Club? I think it's Outlander Club. Yeah. It is indeed. Any guesses to who crashes a speeder onto the streets of Coruscant not far from the Outlander Club? Blake says it's Anakin. Ross says Anakin. Ben says Anakin. Any other guesses? Minta says Anakin and Kenobi. Okay. Anybody else? Any other guesses? The question is, and I'll share the answer here in a moment, who crashes a speeder onto the streets of Coruscant not far from the Outlander Club? The answer is Zam Wessel. Ross says, did Zam Wessel crash too? Yes. Yes, she crashed first. So Zam Wessel is the answer. So how about that? That was another tricky one. I'll ask, this will be the last one. These are much harder than I expected, so I apologize. But I think it's a good challenge is fun. It's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for all of us. Good for the old noggin. So here it is. What does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? What does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? Ben says Zam crashed and then did Anakin jump? That's a good question. I don't remember Anakin crashing. Honestly. I do remember Zam Wessel crashing. And so I don't know. Someone else will have to chime in on that. I don't think so. But I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while since I watched Attack of the Clones, which seems crazy to think. So the question again is, what does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? And it's not MT, like AT or AT, Ben. Mita is not sure. Again, the question is, what does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? It's a great question. What does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? Blake says it's Mason Trains Tauntauns. I'm going to tell him that, and he's going to like that. He's going to get a big kick out of that. Ben says, if I recall, Anakin was hanging from Zam's ship and jumped. There you go. That's correct. That is exactly correct. Ross says it's mutton, tomato, and toast. Now that sounds delicious. Maybe that's what I'll have for lunch tomorrow, Ross. Thank you for the idea, buddy. Again, the question is, what does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? Ben says the typo supposed to be MT. There you go. I was waiting for that, buddy. The answer to what does the Trade Federation abbreviation MTT stand for? Multi-Troop Transport. Those are the vehicles, I believe, that distribute out the battle droids, if memory serves. So there you go. There is your trivia for the week. For September, I don't know that we'll do more trivia this month. But yeah, there you go. Nice job, everyone. Those were challenging, but appropriately so. Hopefully it made you think and maybe taught you some fun things about Star Wars along the way. Certainly taught me some things about Star Wars too. There are a couple I had no clue about. Well, now let's jump into Ask Dan Z. Okay, well, as you know, I am, Ross says, ooh, that was a rough first quiz this semester. I know. It was very interesting what questions the Force presented to us, wasn't it? Good. I love it. Well, I love a good challenge, and I love talking with all of you. So again, this week, I'm going to be at the D23 Expo. Ben, what's what I'm most looking forward to? Honestly, it's just seeing people. I hope we learn about some new Star Wars projects and things that are happening. Hopefully we get to see some stuff. I have no idea. As you know, I don't swim in the spoiler or anticipation waters, but I'm very excited about the possibility. I mean, when I was at the D23 Expo in 2019, I got to be in the room when they announced a lot of major products and projects, and I got to see the first ever teaser for The Rise of Skywalker. That was when we first saw Rey and had a red lightsaber, and the whole place was buzzing with what is going on here. That was a great moment. Got to see a lot of stars, and I'm hoping that will happen again. There's a great Spider-Man thing that's happening that I'm looking forward to. And just bring it to all of you. You can absolutely guarantee, you might want to turn notifications on Instagram because I'll be doing a lot of video and reels and images, both on Twitter, of course, Facebook and the CWK Cafe, and on our Facebook page. We're talking about it a lot on the podcast. Next week, I'll have a full recap, and next week we'll also give a full, flat-out conversation here, besides our top 5 about the D23 Expo itself, and hopefully I'll be a little more eloquent than I just was right there. I think I was thrown because Blake and Ross are asking me about the Bears, and that just is very much a mixed bag for me. Because Blake says, what's your prediction for the Bears this season and possible Super Bowl contenders? Well, Blake, I'm sure those are separate things. When people say the Bears are going to be the worst team in the NFL, I don't buy that for a second. Because the Jets are still in the league. And the Giants, sorry about that. Zing. So no, I just don't think they will. I just want to have fun. I love watching the Bears. I can't help it. It's been loved the Bears pretty much my entire life. So I'm just looking forward to it. Roslyn said, will the Bears start 1-0? Will they beat the Niners? I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know. It's maybe too early to make an official prediction. Ross, I trust your NFL judgment much more than mine. I just, surprisingly, what a interesting thing that life brings. I mean, I'll be in California at the D23 Expo covering things, so I won't get to watch the first Bears game. Honestly, I really would love to be watching the first Bears game, but I guess I'll just have to cover the D23 Expo. And that'll be pretty fun too. I am going to miss watching the Bears, so I'm looking forward to that. Ross is driving to New York this weekend for Ravens at Jets, meeting up with my brother and nephews. Nice. You're actually going to the game, Ross? Well, if so, have fun and safe travels, my friend. So see, Ross is going to miss the Colts game. Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of a mixed blessing. But hey, what a good problem to have so many things you love doing, but there's just not enough time to do it all. But what there is time for is to talk with all of you every week on CWK Live. Well, again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me on Coffee with Kenobi. It's been a blast talking with you. I think I put this up as a schedule change. Let's see, did I? Yeah. Don't forget, next week is going to be September 13th on a Tuesday, not our usual Monday time. You'll get a full D23 Expo recap from me. Top 5 moments from Light and Magic. I think I found my people, and of course your comments and questions. Hopefully we'll have plenty to talk about. And when I do that recap, we can talk about things besides Star Wars too. I'm completely fine with that. Ben says, if the Lions beat the Bears this year, will I be allowed at the live stream? Of course, because whether the Bears win or not, you and I are buddies, friend. That's all that counts. That's all that matters to me. May the Force be with you. Ross says, thanks, Dan. Safe travels. Have a wonderful week. Thanks, buddy. You too. Blake, feel better, man. Feel better. Hope you get some rest and feel super strong. And the Force gives you all your energy back. Mary, have a great week to you as well. Thanks again, everybody, for spending time with me on Coffee with Kenobi. Truly is a highlight of my week to get to share it with you. Please bring your friends and family next time. Let them know that you're listening to the show. Let them know about how much fun we have on the live shows. Because, yes, you can listen to it later on our Coffee with Kenobi podcast feed, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can certainly see it on Instagram or YouTube or here on Facebook at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Coffee with Kenobi. But the live show, I think, is where the energy is, and it's great because of all of you. Ben, Lawrence, am I going to Disneyland? I am going to Disneyland. I will be there Saturday night. Very much going. I'm looking forward to that. Ben says, safe travels, have fun. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, everybody. enjoy. This week, Chris Kempschel is going to join me to talk about the history and politics of Star Wars. It's a great conversation you're not going to want to miss, and be sure to listen to last week's Coffee with Kenobi, where Becky Mankin of MEI Mouse Fan Travel joins us to talk about that Kyber Crystal drink. Speaking again of that, don't forget to jump in and get your room as soon as you can. There are limited rooms available. You join us on the Starcruiser June 12th to the 14th next summer 2023. Several of you have already booked your rooms, and hopefully many more of you will too, so we can all experience this once in a lifetime Star Wars experience together. Thanks again, everybody. Enjoy yourselves this week. Stay cool, stay warm wherever you're at, and remember, this is the podcast you're looking for. See you next time, everybody. Thanks so much. Don't forget to check out social media so I can bring you the D23 Expo and all of its D23 Expo goodness.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.